Hello everyone and welcome to the Spanish Grand Prix. We're here in round 5 for Tier 1. It is the final round before our first break of the season. Just a reminder to, I think it's only FaZe McBot is the only person with a quali ban. Oh, Mr. Orabang as well. So just retire in the pits when you can. Select your setup, retire in the pits, and we get going. First person out on track seems to be Magnus. Don't think anyone else. Yep, no one else has got ahead of him. Other than that, it's all good. And FaZe McBot, I think, has left his pit box. So that is a further qualifying ban for himself. Hyper has also retired. I don't know why he has retired in the pits, but FaZe McBot has come out onto the full wets. Yeah, no, that's taking the piss. That's taking the piss, and that's getting noted. Yeah. There's going to be a discussion about this because that's just unacceptable. If he causes any sort of instance, he more than likely is going to get banned from the league. But we'll focus on Magnus. He is going to be the first driver of the session. The only driver racing in 2 tiers. Well, himself and Orabang racing in 2 tiers. And he is going to get underway here for the Williams team as he comes down the main straight now, and on his run down towards turn 1. It's a long run. It's the longest straight on the track. You should normally just drop it to 4th gear through here. You ride the curb, get as much of it as you can, and then it's the long flat out turn 3. You want to try not lift going around here as possible, and you come to the end of your sector 1. For him, it's a 22.2, which isn't a bad sector 1 indeed. Through turn 4, quite similar to turn 3. Just maybe a little bit smaller, and now it's probably one of the most difficult sections of the track here. 5, 6, 7 and 8, one of the most tedious corners, and it's not going to be easy as he goes up now through turn 9. Just about exceeds, but I think gets away with it, and a really well timed from the Williams there. As who's that? That's another driver off, but we'll continue with Magnus here as Orcha has also been disqualified. So as Magnus comes round the final corner, he's going to open DRS on a 19 flat, which is immediately beaten by Jinx. Behind him then, it's Jake May as the drivers start to come to the end now of their laps. Ski Fan, who has Lucas Paul right behind him, goes third, and then Griffin with a good lap to put himself in second. Jackie Gabbana, oh no, that's Kofi, who's just into the pits there. Behind is Legend, who is on a hot lap. Yeah, alright. Alright, sorry for the delay here for a second. We'll focus on, I think, let's focus on someone, I think, Mark, who's on a lap. Don't think anyone is at the moment. Quattro coming to the end of his lap now. He goes fastest. Last race's race winner. Goes fastest with a 1:17.1. Okay. So apologies to everyone if there's stuff wrong with the if there's something wrong with the mic stuttering. We've just made a quick decision to ban 2 of the drivers. As here comes Kofi now round the final corner. Where's he gonna put his car? He goes onto provisional pole. Fantastic lap from the Aston Martin, as I think the front 3 seem to be running away with it at the moment. We've made a quick decision just to remove 2 of the drivers. They're clearly here to take the piss, and we will restart a new lobby without them after qualifying, as both of them have retired. So with 9 minutes and 50 seconds to go, I can finally now focus on the main task, which is how qualifying is going. So Legend on a lap himself. We'll keep an eye on him. I think he's the only one on a lap at the moment. Don't know. We'll head LOI Griffin. He's on an out lap. 2 Magnus, 5/10 up. Possibility to bring himself into the top 10 here with a good time around the final corner. And 2 Magnus goes P9. Not a bad lap from him. And AlphaTauri, I think of Oven Curry, is coming around the final corner himself. That's only an in lap. I think most people are only on in laps here. Yep. So Legend is 2/10 up, and a bit more time out of the final few corners, and he might be able to get himself a bit closer to pole. He does go 5/10 quicker. Still a good bit off Kofi on pole. He is currently in P4 behind Jinx, has invalidated his lap. Right behind him is Skifan, who's at the end of his lap. He's improved and goes P6. Behind him, the Ferrari, Lucas Paul, starting his lap. Behind him was its Jake May, also starting his lap. Then comes SLR Quattro, who's also just starting the lap. We'll have a look. I think that's SJ Williams. This has invalidated his first lap. Behind then JRR is on an out lap. And I'm just trying to have a look. 2 Magnus, I think, is going again here as Macker's into the pit. Behind him, Arda starts his first flying lap. And then comes Jackie Gabbana as he comes round the final corner now. He's going to activate DRS, goes a little bit quicker, but doesn't move anywhere. Next, Arbor Click, he comes to the line, goes 8th. Behind him, Griffin, starting a lap. Then it's or is it Legend? It's Legend coming into the pits. Jinx, wrestling his car over the curbs. And now, coming out of the final corner, Jinx is going to go quicker, and he's going to go 3rd fastest with a 1:17.2. Behind then, Lucas Paul improves to go 6th fastest. Then SLR Quattro, he has not improved. So SJ Williams is now going to come to the line with his first timed lap, only goes P14 for now. As I think that's JRR moving up the field and up into P6. Behind him is Arda, who goes P4. Not a bad lap from him either, as you can really see now the difference between the top 6 and the rest of the field. And then it seems like from 2 Magnus onwards, those drivers are starting to struggle just a little bit more. The rest of the guys doing quite a good job at the moment, and you've got to give them credit. We're at a lull period now at the moment, so not much is really happening, and kind of just waiting to see. Don't think we've anyone on a lap. It's Jake May. He's, I think, on a lap. He's matched his time, but he's gone wide there, so that means that he won't improve. And that is pretty much that. The next driver to start a lap will be Macker. in the McLaren. We'll see where he can put his car, as we'll just ride along with him. So we'll ride on board with Macca, the only car out on track. We'll see what he can do, as an Alfa Romeo I think is leaving his garage. It looks like an Alfa Romeo is just out of place on his box, or maybe he's coming into his garage. But we'll keep an eye on Macca, as he'll bring us around a lap of Catalunya. Obviously qualified quite well last night and was doing quite well up until a quite unfortunate race, and obviously with the restart and everything that happened last night, it was really not ideal. His internet isn't amazingly good at the moment, but it seems to be a quite solid lap for what it is, and he is improving on his time, and this is probably the only part of the track where you can invalidate. He's done it very, very nicely indeed. So as he comes to the end of his middle sector, he is 2/10 up. It says purple, but I don't think that is going to be purple. And if he can gain a bit more time... Oh, he won't, because he's on the curb too much there. He's almost lost the car. So that's the end of that lap. If he's any bit smart, he'll come into the pits and he'll get back out as quickly as possible. So the next driver out on track, it's Jake May. We'll keep an eye on him. He's going to be the first person to start their final run, as this was the interesting part of qualifying now about to happen. It's Jake May, still yet to have his real breakthrough result. He's definitely tier 1 pace, but he really is yet to have that breakthrough result that really kickstarts his kind of career in CTCR. And we'll see now if maybe Spain, usually a track dominated by the Mercedes in the past, if maybe the same can happen to him. His teammate P6 with a 1:17.4, he is 6/10 off that pace, so a lot to improve on in this final lap. But knowing it's Jake Mate's talent, there's no reason he can't do that. Maybe he may be one of those drivers hoping for a better game next year, because obviously a lot of people have been complaining about F1 22, and I am one of them. But here he goes on his final lap. It's Jake May, opens DRS, and I think has got himself a nice bit of clean air here if the Williams gets out of his way, which they do. So he has a load of clean air on his final run as he goes now round turn 3, trying to keep it on track. He runs a little bit wide, but it's alright, he won't lose too much time, and at the end of his first sector he is just barely up in his time. But this is where all the time can be made, the most trickiest section on the track. If you can nail this, you can gain so many tenths on your last run here, and with track evolution and everything that happens, it should be a good run for the Mercedes. It's Jake May now up towards turn 9, a place where he invalidated his last lap. He runs wide again and is invalidated again. So that is not what you want to see. But we'll keep an eye, because I think that's Kofi, who is also the second person to start his final lap. We'll keep an eye on his Jake Mate to see if he will go yet again, although with a bit of reduced DRS. We'll keep an eye on Kofi now as he comes round and is on provisional pole. He would love to improve, and he is improving, and that's improving in sector 1, which is a very hard sector to improve. There's only really one corner in which you can improve, and that's turn 3. This is where all the time can be made. Will we be able to possibly see a car dip in to the 1:16s today? That'll really show the pace of the league and the pace of the drivers out front. Kofi still searching for his first win of this season, and if he starts on pole today, that will be great help for it. He is 3/10 up, so he just doesn't need to lose time through this final sector, and he will be on provisional pole by a huge amount. We'll see now as he comes round what will be a new just turn 13 till the end, but now it's the chicane, and out of the final corner he comes, the Aston Martin. Will he improve? If so, how much will it be by? It's a 1:16.6. It's an incredible lap, and I don't think that can be beaten. Oven Curry is 2/10 up. He can definitely put himself onto the front row and make it a tier 2 commentator. Front row here in tier 1. Oven Curry has obviously had some trouble in the final sector, has lost it. Quattro is only a 10th up. This won't be enough for pole. We'll see now, out of the final corner, how much can he improve by? Oh, it's a lot, but he just misses out. There's a McLaren of Macker coming to the end of his lap. That's quite irrelevant. It's Jake May, barely level on his time. Can he improve? He can't. P13 is best for him. Lucas Paul, 6/10 up, could go into the top 5 with this lap. Lucas Paul goes P3. What a lap there from the Argentinian. Next across the line, 2 Magnus. How much has he improved by? He hasn't improved. Jackie Gabbana next. Has he improved? No, he hasn't. Legend goes P3. He's also dipped into the 1:16s. Arda goes P4. I can't keep track. Ski Fan, he doesn't improve. Finally, it's Jinx, and he has also been unable to improve. So, after a brilliant final run, Kofi takes pole by over a 10th of a second here in Spain. A 1:16.6, that is definitely a lap I would love to see go onto the TikTok page, because that was definitely something to be proud of. But that is qualifying coming to a close, and I am going to take a quick picture of that, and we can get going for the race. Okay, so qualifying went quite well. I can't complain. Everything seemed to do everyone seemed to be quite clean. There was no any really incidents in qualifying, and hopefully that can continue into the race. We'll have to see, but as people start to join the lobby now, I'm gonna get the screenshot I had up. So we had Kofi start on pole. We had Quattro, then we had Legend. After Legend was Arda. Then it was Lucas. Oh, there's Arda in now. Then it was Lucas Paul. What a lap. Jinx. After Jinx came Oven Curry. Then it was Griffin. Good lap from him, I have to say. Clicks isn't in yet. He's just gonna wait. We'll wait on him. S.J. Williams. Then it was JRR. Then it was Ethan. Then Jackie Gabbana. Then it's Jake May. Click went 9 behind Griffin. So we have 2 Magnus in 15th wherever he is. And 16th was Macker. Then it was Hyper, then it was Orabang. And that's it. Tier 1 can ready up. And we can get going for the race. So I would have liked to have seen the full grid and everyone communicating quite well, but clearly 2 people have decided to take the mick, so then they'll be out. Oh, actually, back 2 could have joined. Jeez, it's a typical Spanish day here. The sun looks like it's splitting the stones here in Catalonia for the full dry race. Sorry about the lack of kind of commentating during all this kind of build up. Obviously, no co-commentator tonight really has kind of set me behind quite boringly in these lull periods. There's no real time to talk about other parts of racing, so otherwise we're all good. We're good to get going again. So, as the green light goes, we are ready to start going for the race. I'll turn on tyres as everyone on the mediums other than Jackie Gabbana, and that's quite a kind of theme going on for Jackie so far this season. He has definitely preferred the hard tyres. So, Kofi, if we're going to have a look during this. So the medium tyres, the strategy for this is lap 15 is normally the pit window. So keep your notebook out for that. We'll keep an eye on that anyway, just until we keep going. Obviously we want to hide the UI. We'll keep an eye on probably position change, because that's what will happen when we start. But looking at the standings, obviously Kofi only one podium so far, and he possibly could have had a chance for a win in Imola if it wasn't for the banned FaZe McBot. Other than that, it's been quite a regular season for him. Despite always starting high, it's been quite inconsistent. There's the pit strategies there. It doesn't show the hard to medium strategy, and as SLR Quattro is right on the back of him. We'll see what happens when they come round the corner. So Quattro's actually overtaken him. He wants to be on his grid first. Obviously Jinx is leading the way. He's starting 6th today. Then comes Quattro, who is obviously starting 2nd. Then it's Lucas Paul, who's not quite far away, and he's also not quite far away in 5th. Then after that it's JRR. He's starting well down the order, but has been very consistent over the season. People like Hyper, Douglas, Kofi, obviously Rando and not here today, and that's kind of a little bit further down. But we'll get ready to get going. Legend has been disqualified, or he can't quite really get a good camera angle, unfortunately. So this is the best we have, and we'll wait to see when we're ready to go. So here we go, 5 red lights for the Spanish Grand Prix here in CTCR. It's lights, the light glitch. It's lights out, and away we go. It seems to be a decent getaway from Kofi, who remains in the lead, as Quattro is going to try and get right behind him. I think Arda has been disqualified for not taking control of his car, so he is already out, but Kofi keeps the lead from a very, very clean getaway from the rest of the field. Legend in P3, and comes then Lucas Paul. I think it's a poor start and a great start for Oven Curry at the back there, as everyone gets away quite nicely indeed. So Oven Curry has gained 2 spots there. Then it is Lucas Paul's gone up 1, obviously. I think Jinx has lost a place. Griffin also doing quite well, and I think SJ Williams has had a bit of a spin, and so too is Griffin. Griffin's had a spin, he's lost an end play, and he is around, and he's around again. And the Haas driver has got off to the worst possible start, but at the front everything's going quite cleanly for the rest of the guys. He got such a good start there. Mr. Orabeng has been really rapid as well from the start. He's gained 6 places, so has Hyper. Macker's also got a good start, obviously jumping ahead of Griffin, but he's also got ahead of Jackie Gabbana. Those hards have struggled to warm up, as Hyper has been sent round sideways, and that's him out. Switch back to the leaders. No, we'll switch back to JRR, who's in the wall. Oh, and he's done exactly what Hyper has done. He's beached his car. He's allowed reset. Yeah, that's allowed when you've beached your car. So he has remained in the session. But what a clean getaway. Like, I've never been so amazed to see all 17 drivers that started the race all in it. Obviously Arda being disqualified, that was on the opening lap, so that doesn't really matter. But a really clean getaway, and only Griffin, JRR and Williams have had incidents, well, Hyper as well. Only the bottom 4 have had a few incidents, and mostly regarding themselves, other than I think Hyper was tagged by, I think it was either Macker or it was Orabang, possibly even it's Jake May, we don't know, but Kofi leads the way. Everyone is staying quite close. Obviously Abra isn't the quickest driver on the grid, so he's going to be quite far behind at the moment. But I'm sure he can keep himself good. He's driving really well at the moment. And I can't see anything wrong with his driving. The two Alpines, both reserving, both doing a really good job. Quattro is the fastest driver on track though. He is catching up to Kofi here. And with now DRS enabled, it may be a bit more interesting to see what will happen in the next few races. The rumours are true, Rando, and your best friend has been kicked from the league. I'm sorry, Arda, obviously the game has kicked you out and you've been disqualified. We can't really do anything about that, and we hope to see you in Austria, all things going well. But Kofi in the lead, Quattro in second, then comes Legend, who's a little bit further behind and maybe a little bit exposed to this man right here, Lucas Paul, who is just kind of lurking there with DRS. Legend obviously doesn't have it. It's going to make it a bit more interesting. We go down through the pack. I think everyone is fairly well spread out, other than Jackie Cabana getting really close to Macker, but not close enough. Switching back to the leaders now, as Kofi heads down the final chicane and is now going to try and get a bit of a gap, which is working, to Quattro. Oh, that's Legend round. That's Legend onto the curb and is around. So that is him. Oh, and he's almost smashed straight into the side of his teammate. That wouldn't have gone well down in Mercedes, and it's not gone well down on Legend's side of the garage because he is round and has put Lucas Paul up into the podium places. But he has a hard job to do because now he can't have any sort of DRS from them, from the driver ahead. And he, although up a place, it might not be the best thing because he is now the front of the DRS train, puts him vulnerable to many attacks from behind. I don't know about the commentating, Arda. Maybe soon, but I don't really like drivers or commentators joining mid-race. Oh, and that's almost a spin, I think, there from Kofi. That's going to put him under pressure from Quattro, who is going to get really close to Kofi here now. And if he can just stay quite close to him through the chicane, it's a hard thing to do, but if he can stay close to him, there's no reason why these two can't have a battle for the next 29 laps of this race. We'll see now, because this is normally Kofi's good spot. He seems to take this quite well, but Quattro's matched him here and could possibly line up a move. Only 4/10 away. Kofi's a good straight line speed, and on their run down towards turn 1, it's going to be Kofi to stay in front. Legend has got by his teammate, it looks like, it seemed, into turn 1. I don't want to take my eyes off the leaders though, because them two seem to be doing quite well. And it's more disappointment for Lucas Paul, who spun off from the podium of this race and is now dropped out of the points. Oh, how heartbreaking is that? As he now has to try and defend here from Jackie Cabana. Oh, and that's JRR, who's gone flying off the track, but has kept his wing intact, as Orabang is the first person to pick up a time penalty here today. And I'm sure he won't be the only one, considering some of the drivers on the grid. We may have a few more time penalties for track limits. At the moment, the two drivers at the front seem to be going quite well at the moment. Oh, that's huge for Kofi now, because Quattro's got an awful exit, and although having DRS, he may not have it soon enough because of that poor exit. He's burning the ERS to try and catch up a bit closer to him, and that really has helped him out, because he almost lost his car there. He saved it. Could have been a chance if Kofi realised. He is derating a little bit. Kofi has a little bit less ERS than the rest of them. Lucas Paul getting close to Jackie Cabana here, and Macker, I think, was overtaken by Hyper. Lucas Paul won't have any sort of chance to overtake. But at the moment, seems to be quite a clean race, with Oven Curry, Jinx having a little bit of a battle here for the podium. Then it's quite far behind to Aberclick's Tier 2 reserve, doing an excellent job in Tier 1, and he may be a Tier 1 full time if he keeps up the pace that he is going at the moment. It's SLR Quattro who is the one that's chasing Kofi at the moment. We'll see if he's going to be close enough this lap. Kofi's burning the ERS, so is Quattro. They're just going to stay in place as Maka picks up a 3-second time penalty here. Oh, and that's big. Kofi's burned enough ERS to have his red light flashing. Quattro's going to see that. He knows now that Kofi won't have the ERS that he has, and he may be able to line up a move quite soon. He'll just stay behind more than likely until the main straight, which may give us time to focus on the midfield, see if there's anyone else causing any trouble. These three, obviously Jackie Gabbana in a Ferrari sandwich at the moment, so they are going to be looking quite interesting at the moment, the battle for them too. As we're looking, it seems to be going quite well. 7 laps in, no retirees, and if anyone has anything to comment on, feel free, because although I love seeing the driving standard of these races, it is quite a frustrating one to commentate on, but we'll see now, because the battles are still here, and Kofi didn't quite get the exit he would have liked, and with Quattro with a lot more ERS than Kofi, he's going to be gaining all the way down into turn 1 here. He's going to go late on the brakes, down the inside. Quattro takes the lead, but not for long, because Kofi's going to try stick with him now as they head round turn 3 and up towards turn 4 now at the end of sector 1. It looks like Quattro is going to stay in front. Last race's race winner is in the lead here in Catalonia. The Williams driver has a lot to prove, obviously being still a little bit further behind, and obviously all the points he lost in Jeddah, which I hate reminding him of, means that he is still 8 points off the lead. That might not be the case for long, as Griffin has gone round and he's lost his wing. So he's going to have to make another pit stop, and more than likely that'll mean that that pit stop may be a retirement in the pit lane. Luckily, there's no sort of plans of a safety car, and Griffin coming into the pits now. I think he's gonna keep going, because obviously if he'll come out behind the pit window, and when they do pits, if a safety car comes out, then he'll catch up. So he may try and keep going, and it is good practice for him. There seems to be a lot of guys that are struggling as far as the ERS capacity, and the only person with really good ERS is Aberclicks at the moment. He's doing quite well. Legend gets by Ski Fan. He's showing his pace at the moment and is currently making his way up the field. He got by its Jake mate earlier in the race. He got by Ski Fan just there, and next on his target is the Williams of 2 Magnus. I think once he gets up towards Aberclick, that's when it's going to start to get difficult to try and make 7 seconds on Jinx. And the same for Lucas Paul. He's got by Jackie Gabbana and Orabang. I don't know what's happened to them, as Jinx gets by Oven Curry, and I think that's JRR going slowly after another spin. So for the man P4 in the championship, it's not been a championship to remember for JRR. He is currently running almost as last as Griffin. But they're carrying on in hope of something later in the race. We reach lap 10 and we're getting close to a third of the way through. Obviously all the delays, I'm sure these guys are really happy about that, just to get going with some good racing, and then obviously finish before 9:30 would be ideal for the likes of obviously Quattro. I think SJ Williams could be Dutch, Jackie Cabana obviously, they'd love to finish that early as Legend gets by Aberclick early. I think Aberclick may have had a bit of an issue there because he has dropped some places. That's someone out, that's Urabang out, and that is the first safety car of the race. Just as the pit window seems to open, that's Urabang out of the race there at Sector 1, and it's not been a Tier 1 full-time debut to remember for the Spanish driver in his home track as well. He didn't have a great Tier 2 race, and his Tier 1 race is not going quite well either, because he is out after lap 10. That is music to the ears of Griffin. These guys will get to pit. He'll hopefully want to come out ahead of Quattro and Kofi, and in doing so he can unlap himself and get back close to the field. Now he's going to hope that Magnus can hurry up a bit. He does not want to be starting way too far last, because Kofi and Quattro are in the pits now. But I'm thinking it looked like it's going to be all good for Griffin. This is the pit window 100%. Two Magnus trying to slow down to make sure that they don't get in his way. Griffin's going to carry on. He's going to carry on. I think he's okay to overtake Quattro here. He's out of the pits. Yep, Griffin. All good. For himself and JRR. Definitely going to be happy about that. Oh, don't let him back by Griffin or you won't get to. Yep, he's lapped the safety car. Quattro stays behind. And himself and JRR can now, that's the real benefit of keeping in the race, because now he's back in the race once he catches up. So as you can see, everyone came into the pits there, and there's been a few position changes because of that. Legend has gained massively because of the double stack from Magnus. The front four have stayed the same. Lucas Paul obviously doing quite well because of the double stack at Alpine, and obviously the double stack at Mercedes as well. So Lucas Paul is going to be the only Ferrari driver in his native speaking language home Grand Prix. There's no Argentinian Grand Prix yet, but this is probably the closest he's got to a home GP other than Brazil, because Brazil is quite a close track to him at the moment. It looks like it's going to be quite a good race for these guys. So I think it's a good time for a safety car, because it hasn't really caused any sort of trouble other than maybe just slowing down the race, and obviously it doesn't really give any sort of strategy changes either. It may not be great for Jackie Cabana, because those mediums definitely won't go till the end. He's going to hope that another safety car possibly comes out and he starts obviously in he can get onto maybe another set of mediums or a set of softs. But we're just waiting now for Griffin, who should be able to get round in time for the end of the race. It's a really cool effect that you can hear everyone go There you can hear everyone from behind the track. Oh, and that's JRR gone round. Has he picked up damage? He has. So that's going to be him out for a little bit longer. It's music to Griffin's ears, because he's going to now gain another position and get just a little bit closer to the points. Obviously, looking at Griffin's, he's only had one finish in the points, but it's been a good finish in Saudi Arabia. And I'm sure if he picked up points today, it'd be a great end to what has been a pretty poor start to the season for him. The safety car is in this lap, so unfortunately for JRR, he's not going to get in and out of the pits in time. He's going to come into the pits now and is going to change that front wing. He is not having the start to be enjoyed, but Quattro gets away, and Legend has got by Oven Curry already on the run down towards turn 1. Everyone seems to be getting away quite cleanly, and Legend does keep the position from Oven Curry and is up in the P4. This is a great recovery drive from the Mercedes. To Magnus quite behind, close to Aberclicks, then Lucas Paul, it's Jake May, quite a clean getaway. Macker has got a good getaway, he's got by Hyper, but it's kind of a bit scrappy here now down towards turn 4. Macker trying to leave the room here on Griffin, who's gone down the inside, and what a restart Griffin is having. Macker's going to try and defend the position. He goes off the track and is now a bit vulnerable to SJ Williams down the inside. They battle Macker onto the curbing, and that's Lucas Paul spinning round and out, and that's Hyper up onto the grass. Macker's gone off the track, and what a crazy few sections that was, and whatever happened to Lucas Paul is definitely not what you'd want to be happening to him, because he was making a pretty nice recovery drive there up until that spin. Try and get JRR back into the lobby. Out front, drivers are still quite single file, but Legend definitely has some serious pace around here. Got by Oven Curry off the restart, was already burning his way through the pack. Fastest lap at the moment is in the hands of Kofi. Legend, don't write him off of a possible first Mercedes win of the race, as Griffin, quite unfortunate indeed. He was making such good ground on his restart and has lost the car again going into turn 4, and he has dropped back down to 14th, but not as far behind as he was, so he'll keep going again. We'll focus on Legend. It seems to be the top 4 that are the 4 that are pulling away. I think Jinx doesn't quite have the pace around here as the same as the front 2. So realistically, your bets should be placed on either Kofi or Quattro. I see your message there, Quattro, about the 9:30. I know you still would like, it's supposed to finish before 9:30 though. It is definitely a time I'd like to finish before, and I don't think we will, but nearly halfway through the Grand Prix, we're going quite well at the moment, and Legend, I think it looks like Oven Curry, Legend, the top 5, Oven Curry, Legend, Jinx, Kofi and Quattro out of 5 pulling away, but are pulling away at quite equal pace to the fact that none of them can really attack one another. The Arresto of Jinx is a lot worse than the rest, so that may cause a key factor in this race. Other than that, the battle for the rest of the points seems to be quite lively, and Griffin already, himself and Lucas Paul, catching quite close up to Macker as quickly as possible, so we'll keep an eye on that. JRR still yet to get back into the session. I'll send him a message, see if he can get in quick. And that's SJ Williams, I think, who's gotten on the curbing and has gone round because Macker's got by him. And Griffin is right up and close to him. Oh, Kofi's round! That's Kofi around! The pole sitter, again having a nightmare of a race. He has gone round and is dropped all the way down to P8. And now with half the Grand Prix remaining, has a lot of work to make his way back up onto a podium place. But that is music to the ears of Quattro, who should be able to maybe get a bit of a breakaway here and win this race quite easily for the Williams team and bring home a second race win in a row. Austria, Britain, Belgium all coming up. Possibility to break his own record. 4 race wins in a row held by the Dutch man. Look at this, Kofi and it's Jake Mate going for a right scrap here now, up through the tricky section of Sector 3. Oh, and it's Jake Mate's pushed Kofi out onto the gravel. That's quite dangerous. And Ski Fan's gonna limp himself down the inside, or at least try to. Kofi getting very aggressive there and doesn't want to yield at all for the Alpine driver. Maybe getting a bit impatient on how to get by it's Jake Mate, but it's Jake Mate not doing him any favours there in his comeback, and obviously Legend being in P3 means that the more it's Jake Mate can hold him off, the more his teammate can have a better chance of bringing home a podium. Legend, very unfortunate season with some great results here and there, but quite poor for the or some good results in qualifying, I should say, but quite poor regarding the actual finishes. We'll see now today whether or not he can finish on the podium and bring home some crucial points that Mercedes need, because looking at the constructors, Red Bull obviously leading the way with Jinx leading the championship and Hyper not doing too bad either. Then Williams are quite close, and now that SLR Quattro has a proper teammate in Magnus, who's currently running P5, they can definitely close up to Red Bull a little bit better. Then it's Alpine, and if we look towards Mercedes, they're currently running 8 with only 20 points here in the first 4 races. 12 points to the next team, which is McLaren, who are going to need a complete makeover because both of their full-time drivers aren't going to be racing anymore. So hopefully we can get maybe possibly 3 drivers in to replace those guys over the break. But Legend closing in on Jinx, who is closing in, or who is, I should say, getting further away from Quattro, and Jinx is derating now, so a chance possibly for the Mercedes driver who had a spin in the early laps, and on lap 19 he could start to chase down the race leader. He has to get by that very wide Red Bull of the championship leader Jinx, who's doing his very best to try and minimise the damage from Quattro if he wins today. But with 16 laps remaining, it's going to be still quite a difficult job, as it's Jake May and Kofi battling again here as they head up towards this final section again. Kofi on the outside again. It's Jake May going to try and battle, but this time he can't do anything about it, and the Aston Martin driver has got by the Mercedes driver the second time round. Gets a great exit too, and could make this a quick double overtake here on Abra Click. He's going to burn the ERS, so too is Abra Click. Look how close he is on their run down towards turn 1. I can see a dive bomb coming from Kofi, but that dive bomb isn't going to come. But it might from possibly Legend, closing in down there towards turn 4. We'll switch back to Kofi. He's still getting quite close to the Alpine driver. Is going to stay behind, but this is quite an overtaking opportunity, as I showed yesterday. But for Kofi, that's not going to be the case for now, as Jackie Gabbana sets the fastest lap of the race on those fresh mediums, a 1:20.2. I'm sure that'll be beaten soon, but it's not beaten at the moment. Kofi got by its Jake May at this part of the track. Last lap. Can he repeat it against Abra Clicks? On the run down towards I think it's turn 10. It is. He is unable to do so. So Aberclick, with a lot of ERS, is defending quite well, but as Magnus starts to pull away, I think he is out of the DRS detection zone. He is. So now it's really going to be a chance for Kofi to overtake. No DRS. He's vulnerable, but with the power of the ERS, he's going to stay ahead. Kofi will be unable to attack this lap. Legend still getting very close to Jinx, but Jinx is doing what he needs to do here in P2. Legend still gaining. We'll keep an eye on Kofi because Aberclicks has caught up to 2 Magnus and is going to take some more DRS, which is going to make it even harder for Kofi to try and get by. But not a great exit there from Aberclicks, who's gone a bit off the track, which is going to maybe allow a possibility of an overtake for Kofi. He's definitely getting closer, and if this chicane wasn't here, he'd be a lot better, but he really does wrestle over the curbs, Abra, and it's going to make it terribly hard to try and defend. We missed Legend finally getting by Jinx and up into P2. We don't want to miss Kofi going side by side with Aberclick, but Aberclick is just too quick in a straight line. It's Jake Mate fending off Ski Fan and SJ Williams having a battle with Griffin, but Griffin is too fast for the new AlphaTauri driver. He's going to try one back down the inside though, SJ Williams. He's good at trying to defend, as showed by me last night. And here he is again, possibly switching to the inside here. Griffin is going to hold it round the outside. Both of them very similar tyre wear. Oh, this could end badly. It has. Griffin's gone flying out onto the gravel. Them two have got away. Griffin's round. And that may be investigated later in the race. Griffin being the driver he is, he probably will. He feels he's possibly robbed of getting up into P11 there. It's allowed. Obviously we've missed now. Kofi did finally... Oh, that's someone off. That's Hyper. Hyper's off. Down at turn 14. And is into the pits for a front wing change, which has put SJ Williams into the points. So we've missed Kofi getting by Aberclicks. We've just about seen him get by 2 Magnus. And he's back up into P5 for his nice recovery drive today. Hyper's got his front wing changed and he's going to go on those mediums now till the end of the Grand Prix. So Kofi has now got by the midfield battle, but has 5 seconds to his good friend of Oven Curry. But in this clean air may have a bit of a chance to get some good lap times going. And as shown there, he set the fastest sector 3, and with a bit of clean air himself, he might be able to set the fastest lap here. We don't know. 12 lap old hards is going to make it awkward, but it's definitely going to be possible. Lucas Paul just gets by SJ Williams. We catch him getting by on the run down in towards turn 1, and he is up into the points yet again. in his language, home GP, we'll call it. Other than that, it seems to be quite a boring period of the race. Everyone is kind of sat behind. Jinx is probably going to start to fade away out of the background of Legend, who has some good pace today. Jinx obviously trying to burn the ERS to stay with him. Legend is not going to be the quickest around here. I don't even know what I said there. Did I say Legend won't be the quickest around here? Or something stupid like that? I don't know. My mind has gone into a bit of a blank there. But I think I was meant to say Jinx won't be the quickest of the front three, because obviously with low ERS, Legend's starting to pull away a bit. Although Jinx is staying quite close, so I don't really know what I'm on about myself. I'd be waffling a bit myself, and he has gone faster than he normally has. SJ Williams gets back by Lucas Paul. These two having a nice scrap for the final points position, but obviously with 3-second penalty for Williams, it's not really going to help him out, is it? Hyper on the fresh mediums has blitzed the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. It's Jake Mate. As Aberclick starts to fade away from the back of 2 Magnus, it's Jake Mate, 2/10 up on his time, who's starting to get a little bit closer to the Alpine and is possibly going to hunt down a P7 finish here. The longest driver in the league, it's Jake Mate, and although not having the most amount of starts, he definitely has probably one of the most amount of experience here out of any driver in this race. Lucas Paul gets by Williams before the final corner. I think Williams may have had a bit of a trip on the sausage curb there and is now almost a second away from Lucas Paul. Nine laps to go. It's looking like Quattro's going to take home his second win of the season for the end before we go into the break. Griffin onto the softs now. He's going to try and rob the fastest lap off someone here. Obviously being the last pit box means that he'll come out well ahead of Macker, who we just see over the distance there. Griffin in P14, but more than likely we'll have the fastest lap, and if a huge crash happens somewhere, and if I'm looking at somewhere, I'm looking at 9, 8, 7 and 6 all in a bit of a pile up there at sector 3, he may pull himself into the points. We'll see as the race goes on. The guys out front seem to be racing quite cleanly. The guys in the midfield seem to be racing quite cleanly, and then the guys at the back, I don't think are racing at all. The gaps are a bit big and it's not quite helping any of them have some good racing, but they aren't. They're doing the crucial thing, which isn't flying off into barriers, unlike the previous 2 rounds, or 3 rounds I should say. And it looks like for the first time this season we're going to have over 16 people finish the race. Happy days indeed. Clicks is falling out of the DRS of 2 Magnus and is also losing time because of his ERS. It's Jake May getting very close this time, and it looks like the Mercedes is going to move himself up into 7th place. This is looking like it's going to be one of the best races for Mercedes in the past while. Other than, I think, Brazil of season 3, there hasn't been a result this well for the Mercedes team. It's Jake May in 7th, Legend in 2nd. And if he does start to gain a little bit closer, it doesn't look like he will be, but if he could maybe start to gain a little bit closer, Legend could be on for his first win. He is in 2nd, so don't write him out. We know what Quattro did in Saudi Arabia. It's definitely... Ooh, Magnus! Magnus is round! Magnus is round at the worst time possible. And is out, or I don't know what has happened there. He's disconnected from the session, I think. JRR's internet is out, so that's what's happened to him. Oh, Magnus, he was on for such a good race. For Williams themselves and Mercedes, we're going to have one of the best weekends they've had all year, but it's gone to nothing now because he has spun out and is well out of the points now, and it looks like it's getting just a little bit too late for any sort of safety car. But that's music to the ears again, a phrase I've said already today, this time for it's Jake May, who's currently the leader of the midfield pack and is going to bring home his first top 6 finish, I think, in his career. If I look towards the stats here of all the tier 1 drivers, it's Jake May in 13 starts has only brought home 6 points. He's going to bring home 8 today, so hopefully he can keep it clean for the final 6 laps, or 5 laps I should say. Someone's round. That's Macker. Macker's round in the pit lane. That's a front wing gone at the pit lane entry. I think everything's going to be okay. He comes into the pits to replace it. I think he was coming in for the soft tyres, and in doing so has hit the pit entry. Luckily it seems quite out of the way. I think obviously being quite late in the game will mean that, but I think that is quite an occurrence. Obviously you do think real life scenario, 4 laps to go, a driver's just after hitting the pit lane entry, and all the debris has fallen into the pit lane. You can't really say that is the fault, or you can't really say that you have to bring out a safety car or a VSC to go in and pick that up. I think it's more just yellow flags, pick up the front wing, take it out, and that's that. Then you'd be you can carry on for the final few laps, because there won't be much people coming into the pits at that stage of the race. But we'll have a look here at our race leader, because there seems to be nothing else happening elsewhere. SLR Quattro started second, and from an overtake on lap 9, I'm pretty sure, just before the safety car came out, he took... Oh! And that almost went horribly wrong for Williams and Quattro. As I was giving him a little bit of a glory speech, he's almost went flying off and into the barriers. Tyre wear is getting very costly indeed for them guys out front. But as I'm saying, from lap 9 onwards, he has led every lap of this race, and led it quite comfortably, without much mistakes, I was going to say, but that's a big mistake there. That's chopped a second off from him to Legend. Legend can now see him, and Quattro can now see him in his wing mirrors, so that's something that he'll want to try and keep as far away as possible. Another battle that seems to be happening here is both Alpine reserves, both doing a really good job at the moment, and are both getting very, very close to a potential crash. I should probably not say that, but they are getting quite close to an incident occurring. Alpines have history for no team orders, but more than likely, I think them two being where they are and what their purpose is, set out to score points for constructors, they may just sit where they are and enjoy the positions. But Skifan may not think that. He's on the back of Aberclick here, down the inside into turn 1. They're still side by side as they head up towards turn 2 and and Skifan's picked up a penalty. That'll probably be removed. He seemed to be forced wide. They're still battling side by side through turn 3. This is the best bit of racing we've got all day as he goes back down the inside, Skifan, and that almost ended horribly. He saved the car and it ends with them still 7 and 8. 3 laps to go. And these two are having a cracking battle. Owen Curry, in the meantime, has gained a bit closer to Jinx. And it could be the AlphaTauri driver to get on the podium. For the first time this season, he has had some good qualifying results as well. But at the end of the day, a P7 and a P8 in your first 2 races isn't going to put you high in the championship. This P4 will put him high. Not as high as he'd like to be, but I'm sure he'll take a P4 any day. And he'd like to probably try and move on a little bit if he has to, with his friend of Kofi getting quite close there. But Skifan has got by Aberclick there, and I don't think there'll be as big of a battle as it was earlier in the race. Jackie Cabana's into the pits and he's going to try now and get the fastest lap. He's going to get himself lapped, I think, possibly in the process. JRR's AI is in for more. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to be able to pick up a fastest lap here. At the moment the holder of it is 2 Magnus, and Jackie Cabana set a quite fast lap on mediums. He needs to shave 8 tenths on his new fresh softs on the final lap and see if he'll get it. That is soon to be found out. It's the final lap of the race. Everything seems to be going quite cleanly as Owen Curry gets by Jinx on the final lap of the race and is going to pick up his first podium of the season, and a well-deserved one from the AlphaTauri driver. And that is crucial for AlphaTauri, because looking at them in the constructors standings, they are currently 9th. I don't think they'll be 9th for long after this. Although, to be fair, with McLaren up the road, they may stay 9th, because Mercedes have had a really good race as well as them. But as he enters the final sector now, doesn't look like much else is happening. Possibly Lucas Paul to get by Aberclick and take home possibly even a P6, because it's Jake May has picked up a penalty, as well too has Kofi, but he'll stay P5. But this is the focus. SLR Quattro, what a dominant drive he's had today, and for the second time this season and the second time in a row, this time in Spain, he is going to win the Spanish Grand Prix. SLR Quattro wins the Spanish Grand Prix and has taken himself to the top of the standings going into the first break. What a race. Behind him was Legend, finishes on his personal best ever in P2. Owen Curry, for the first time this season, is on the podium in P3. Jinx misses out on the final lap, finishes P4 with Kofi in P5. It's Jake May. What a finish for Mercedes, and what a finish for him. P6. Aberclick 7th and Lucas Paul 8th and Skifan 9th. That could all change with possibilities of ski fans, penalty being removed. SJ Williams, on his Tier 1 debut, takes home a point for AlphaTauri. Hyper 11th, Griffin in 12th. Jackie Gabbana sets the fastest Sector 2. We'll see whether or not he will take home the fastest lap. Griffin flies himself across the line. Magnus takes home 13th. And as he comes round the final corner, Jackie Gabbana 1.1 seconds up, takes the fastest lap of the race. Although it's only for pride and not for points. What a race. What a good race to finish the first 5 rounds of the season. We have a week break for Easter next week. Then we are back in Austria on the 15th of April. Yes, 15th of April. Here he is, SLR Quattro, for the second time this season. And I think that is the 7th time in his career on the top step of the podium. In our first ever race in Spain, it's going to be Quattro to take home all 25 points. Mercedes is on the podium. They have a great record here. And we have 2 Mercedes powered cars on the podium. Next is obviously Owen Curry, who is in a Red Bull powered car there in the AlphaTauri, and is going to take home one of his second podium of the season, his second podium in his career, one of his best finishes to date. But SLR Quattro is the person to focus. Legend did have pace. He had the best lap, and if we have a look at Jackie Gabbana's total lap times, we might get to see which of these was quicker. Owen Curry finishes in 3rd with Jinx in 4th, Kofi 5th. It's Jake Mate with his best ever finish in 6th. Aberclick in 7th, a really good drive from the Tier 2 reserve. He is in hunt for a seat, and he'll probably get one soon if he keeps up these results. Lucas Paul in 8th, a pretty good recovery drive after, well, a possibility of a podium earlier. If you'd asked him that he'd come back to 8th, he'd definitely take that. Ski Fan in 9th, SJ Williams rounds out the points. Hyper definitely has gone low after his brilliant high of P2 in Imola. He's going to take home 11th with Griffin in 12th. Magnus in 13th, Jackie Gabbana in 14th, Macker 15th, JRR 16th, and the only retiree of the race, Mr. Orabang, the Spanish driver in his home GP, retired from the race. And Arda, unfortunately, we didn't get to see anything from him today, was disqualified from the start. I'm going to skip the post-race interviews today because I think we need to have a discussion about how we're going to do this on the Discord soon. But at the moment, I have been Gaffo. This has been the Spanish Grand Prix. We'll see you on Friday, the 14th of April. Or is it the 13th? I'm going to check my calendar to give you a proper double check. We'll see you on Friday, the 14th of April. I was correct. For Austria Tier 2. Other than that, this has been me. This has been one of the great races to finish off the first part of the season. And we'll see you all on that Friday the 14th.